Psychobabble, oh, psychobabble. United to see, now it's fading to black. I threw it away, 'cause I don't want it back. I don't care when it's all psychobabble
And just like that, we're here. Man, it's been a while. As you can see, the sun is just beaming in here. It's supposed to be high 40s, maybe even 50 degrees here in central East Ohio. And man, a lot going on. I haven't felt like, man, I'll tell you, I just haven't felt like doing videos lately. You know, ever since that crap with Charlie Kirk. I don't know, man. It just changed my mood about things quite a bit because it's real serious now. And then now that I see that we have all these professional paid agitators that are just sowing division within the MAGA movement, the conservative movement, and so many of the people that should be on our team can't see what's going on. They don't see the forest for the trees. And so it's quite effective, this campaign of divisiveness. And that is exactly what's going on. And one of the things that prompted me to even want to go live today was just a exchange in the comments on a video from last night, where I had pointed out that Candace Owens is continually using creative words, creative language to build a false narrative. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that today because, here's how I feel about it. If I can get 10 people to stop buying into this ridiculous, absurd nonsense, then it's worth it. It's worth the effort. I feel like then, my channel did something positive because, the 6 decades I've been around, I can tell you that politically, we're not, we're in a place right now politically as a country that's probably more important than any election in my lifetime. Because if Trump is able to finish his agenda, the 4 years, what he wants to accomplish in this 4 years, you're going to see an economic boom like never before. And it just shocks me that people pretend to be worried about the working class, pretend to be patriots who want to stand in the way of that over like just ridiculous personal crap that wouldn't change one thing about your life. For example, the Epstein nonsense. Not one thing about your life is going to change. But you make no mistake, you let the Democrats take back both houses in the midterms, and some things about your life are going to change. And you're not going to like them. You mark my word on that. You got to be careful letting these people drag you down into the mud over things that will have absolutely no impact on your life other than them winning the midterms. And we are up against, typically the other party typically does win the midterms, but I feel like the MAGA movement is exceptional, and with the landslide win, we were definitely on par to keep both houses before this campaign of divisiveness started. And I'm going to play you some clips here of just how manipulative Candace Owens has been and why I think it goes beyond just her having an opinion or wanting to get to the truth. Because if she wanted to get to the truth, she wouldn't be accusing every single prominent conservative of being involved, clear up and into and including Turning Point themselves. She would be looking at the people who were the most likely, the people who professed a core hatred for Charlie Kirk very publicly for a couple of years. And the very people that would show up at his speaking events and make threats and cause trouble, the very people that threatened to delete him time and time and time again, we haven't seen Candace Owens even mention those people. She hasn't even mentioned them, let alone did any kind of prying into who on that side would be guilty. And then this game where anybody that criticizes her is now a suspect too. It's just insane. And if you're buying into some ridiculous narrative that there is some big convoluted conspiracy, you're just ill-informed. You're ill-informed and you're gullible. Because if I was to compare the evidence in this case to any other high-standing, high-profile capital murder case in my lifetime, I would say this case has probably the most damning evidence I've ever seen, because never before have we actually had the perp on camera committing the act, actually traveling to the place, committing the act, and fleeing, and then voluntary surrender and confess 3 times. So I just want to, like I say, if I can change just a few minds, it's worth the trouble. And then, of course, I want to talk a little bit about, the shameful condition that Upchurch is in, and the level of paranoia he's living in. Man, that last video, which we'll play some of, was just absolute incoherent ranting that made absolutely no sense at all. This idea that Jelly Roll and all of his friends are out to do him in, it's just insane. And the people that buy into that ridiculousness, encouraging more of that nonsense, shame on you, man. Shame on you. I feel like every one of the comments under Ryan's videos should all say, "Ryan, we love you. Please go get help." That's what every single comment should read. Not, "Man, you get him. That's right, man. I knew them dudes was up to no good." Man, what are you doing? Jelly Roll is not trying to take Ryan Upchurch out. Never even has had the thought of doing such a thing. And any notion otherwise is just pure insanity. It's just delusional. It's just delusional. That guy's been riding a wave of success. He don't have time to care about a Ryan Upchurch. Dude was just inducted as an honorary member in the Grand Ole Opry. I I mean, it's like one of the highest honors you can get as a country artist. 2 number 1 hits in the country back to back at the same time. And then for both of them to be hits in 11 other countries as well. He's been on every major podcast, talk show, television show. He's shared the stage with some of the greats. And, it's a shame that somebody like Ryan couldn't be standing right beside him, because he certainly at one point had the talent to do that. So I'm going to pull this video up. Take a look here.
I haven't seen one piece of compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson scaled the rooftops like Spider-Man on a college campus that he didn't go to, and fired one shot, a magic bullet shot, and killed Charlie Kirk.
So, did you hear that nonsense once it's pulled out of her context? So what did she say that just isn't true in that statement? Because she said 3 things that are just not true. And she repeats these things to sensationalize what she's trying to say. And I've noticed this right away. I used to be a fan of hers. I can't stand to look at her now, because she is obviously trying to rip MAGA apart and rip Turning Point apart for her own deviant purposes. So let's listen again, and I'm going to show you what she's saying. It's just creative wording to make something more sensational and believable. So,
absolutely not. I haven't seen one piece of compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson scaled the rooftops like Spider-Man.
Anybody that's been following this case, even a little bit, I'm not talking like, you're like all invested in it, you're watching every true crime channel, but if you have just paid attention to the core evidence, the core established evidence of this case, then there would be no need to scale any building like Spider-Man. There's steps that go right up to the rooftop of the Losi building, to a mezzanine deck or observation deck or whatever the hell you want to call it. There are publicly accessible steps that go right to the rooftop. If you have any doubts about that this far into this case, for one, you're not even entitled to have an opinion. If you don't know these very basic facts of the case, what are you doing even having an opinion? You can go to Google Satellite View right now and go look at the very publicly accessible steps going up to the very publicly accessible mezzanine deck on top of the Losi building, where Tyler Robinson laid in the gravel, aimed, and shot Charlie Kirk with a very simple rifle shot that any amateur person could do with 5 minutes practice with a rifle. Period. There's no scaling like Spider-Man. So why is she choosing to use words like that? She did the same thing when she's talking about Mike McCoy, who pulled the camera down and took the SD card out like somebody with some sense would do, of course, and made a phone call. She says, she uses words like, he ran over to a grassy knoll. No, he didn't. He just ran off to the side. Once Charlie was removed, the place was surrounded with cops. Everybody had scattered. Yeah, he ran over to the side, tried to call his dad, called Erica. And her not believing something, and then because she refuses to believe it, now it's a lie, Just because you don't believe it, that doesn't mean it's a lie. It just means you're not believing something. But it turns out that is exactly what he did. And so what? So who doesn't make a phone call after a tragedy? It's a very common thing to do. And it goes right back to that first idiot, that stupid idiot that tried to claim that he had an exploding microphone or device or something on his body. The most ridiculous nonsense ever vomited. There were people standing less than 4 feet away from Charlie. Like a lot of people, like maybe 200 people, were probably less than 8 feet away. About another 500 were less than 15 feet away. And the rest were less than 20 feet away. And you're going to tell me they wouldn't know the difference between a rifle shot from behind them and an explosion in front of them? And it's just absurd. You know, when you have 3,000 people all saying the same thing, I would say you'd be a fool not to believe. And then, not to mention the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of independent cell phone videos that people have uploaded where you can clearly hear the nice crisp crack of a rifle being fired once. And if you have stereo, and if you even understand how stereo works, how surround sound stereo works, all of the new iPhones record in full surround sound. And if you go find people that uploaded videos that recorded them with an iPhone, you can actually hear that bullet come from your right and echo out to the left. You can literally hear it, proving that also that it came from the direction of the Lucy building towards where Charlie was sitting. And I've heard probably 20 videos where you can clearly hear it crack from your right, echo out to the left. There's a video of some people, that mezzanine deck, it's actually, there's 2 buildings that kind of morph together there. And that mezzanine deck, there's 2 levels to it. There's kind of a lower level, and then you can go up another set of steps up to a higher level. And then you can climb over a railing onto the roof of the Lucy building, which is like a tar, chip, and gravel roof. The people that uploaded their cell phone recordings, because, you know, everybody records Charlie when he's speaking because they want to get that viral video, you know. The people that were up on that lower mezzanine deck that uploaded videos, man, you can hear the surround sound kick in and give you the absolute full direction that everything was coming from. You can hear the shot off to your back right, and you can hear the people scream off to your left, lower left. It's just so predominant. That being said, this is just one example of the creative wording that is being used to manipulate you. And this is why you're a fool. If she is the only person you're watching and you're not making any attempt to scrutinize what she says by listening to alternative opinions, you're a fool, because you're being manipulated and you're being lied to, and you're being fed a narrative that is just completely false. And again, that's what triggered me to even do this video today, because I got somebody in the comments that said this to me. They said, when she made that comment about Spider-Man, when she was being interviewed by Pierce Morgan, I made the comment that nobody had to scale the building like Spider-Man. There were steps going up. very quickly. Anybody could go confirm that in a second. It's a physical thing. You can go touch it and smell it and see it and hold it. Okay. You don't have to imagine it. You don't have to assume it. You don't have to blindly believe it. You can go right now, satellite view, look at the steps yourself. Or go find the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of independent videos that have been uploaded of people going over the steps, showing the steps, retracing the steps, all of that. And even in the charging documents, it talks about those steps. And the most popular, most widely distributed photo of Tyler Robinson is him standing on those very damn steps. But yet I've got someone in the comments under that. When I made that comment, nobody had to scale it like Spider-Man. There were steps. Someone said, well, if there were steps, why did he have to jump down? I mean, the ignorance, number one, of a comment like that. And two, I'm thinking, how are you this far into this and you don't know that there's steps leading up? When that is part of the actual physical evidence that led to his arrest. It's unbelievable that you wouldn't know that. But if all you're doing is watching Candace Owens or that ridiculous, small-minded, heavy-duty country, I don't know what to tell you. Because your head's just being filled with mashed potatoes. He's literally standing on those steps in that picture where his parents ID'd him, that triggered him to run, threatening to do away with himself, prompting his parents to convince him to turn himself in voluntarily, which he did. You can go look at the steps yourself. But here you've got Candace Owens, who would like you to believe that she is just really diving deep on this because her only concern in this whole world is to find out what happened. And she just pretends that there were no steps because she doesn't want you for a second to believe that yes, Tyler Robinson is the person guilty of this. There's just no denying it. If you're interested in facts, if you're interested in physical evidence that you can touch and feel and smell and hold in your hand, and there's no other conclusion than, yeah, he went up there and shot him. And for the life of me, I don't know why so many people are tricked into believing that is just some hard thing to believe, that some trans Tifa lunatic wouldn't take the opportunity to delete the guy. When that's all they do is threaten to do that to everybody they disagree with. It's not a stretch at all. And in fact, if anyone had motive, it would have been that group of people. Let's listen to something else she said.
On a college campus that he didn't go to, and fired one shot, a magic bullet shot.
No, there she goes. There's some more creative stuff. Magic bullet. What the hell is that? A magic bullet. That's her just refusing to believe he was shot. How absurd would it be? How absurd would it be if there was some conspiracy? Let's say the conspiracy was true and there was a professional assassin group assembled and they had this highly planned hit that was so well planned that it just kicked off like a well-oiled machine. They could have told you it was a .22 rifle. They could have told you it was a .38. They could have told you it was a They could have told you it was 100 different type of weapons. Why would they tell you one that was hard to believe? Well, because that is what it was. It was a 30-06, unfortunately. That wouldn't be the gun they would choose to tell you it is if they wanted you to believe a false narrative. And I am so sick of listening to morons. And I mean morons, because you have got to be completely closed off to reality, completely closed off to any critical thinking at all, to believe the silly, absurd, ridiculous, moronic notion that nobody could ever survive a shot from one of those rifles. And if you got shot with one of those rifles, it would take your whole head off. It's just not true. Do you have any idea how many veterans came home from Vietnam and Korea with lead still in them? You know, the enemies were carrying 308s. It's basically the same gun. Very little difference. Very little. There are people that have been shot by those and survived, are still alive. And the ridiculous recreations people have done using armor-piercing rounds through a modern rifle at a completely different angle, trying to create a once-in-a-million chance thing to happen again, is absurd. There are abnormalities that happen all the time. You could look at an auto accident, for example. There are auto accidents where there's barely a dent and the people are killed. And then there's auto accidents where the car is shredded into pieces, the engine's knocked out of it, the roof is smashed flat, all the wheels are gone, and it just looks like a wad of steel in the middle of the road, and they come walking out just fine. Tornadoes rip a whole house off the foundation, and somebody's sitting there without a scratch. Yet the neighbors, all they got was 2 pieces of siding ripped off, and they were killed. You can't predict these things. And the explanation isn't stupid. It isn't magical. It isn't anything. There are 11 different types of ammo that will work in that rifle. There's the coyote shot, which is the absolute most popular ammunition for that rifle. That's the most that is sold because it's the cheapest. And that particular ammo is absolutely designed to disintegrate, because they don't want it traveling through the animal and going and hitting something else or someone else. That's some of the most popular ammo sold for that style of rifle. And everybody that's into tactical stuff knows this. And the ones that are telling you anything else, they're just lying to you. There's more than just armor-piercing rounds. There's also practice ammo, loaded very light. There's do-it-yourself kits, which I'm almost certain that's probably what Tyler Robinson used, because we do know for a fact that he had engraved bullet casings. There was one in the gun, several in his car, several in his apartment that were all crudely engraved. So did he engrave them, then pack them himself? Probably. So you don't even know what the velocity was. But he was hit at a downward left angle, not straight on, from a fair distance. So it's very plausible. You know, I watched a YouTube video where a Vietnam vet, it's got 2 308s in him. They say the same thing about those. They'll rip you in half. Well, they didn't rip him in half. He's walking around with them. It's absurd. It's simply not true. People do survive shots from those rifles. Those rifles don't always leave an exit wound. There are multiple types of ammo for it. And that would be the least likely gun for them to lie about. Honestly. This is ridiculous. Let's hear some more of her creative wording. Magic bullet. This is stupid.
And killed Charlie Kirk. For some reason, Lance is being protected, which I find to be very strange. His own family thinks he's guilty.
They'll get.
Now, where have you heard anybody in law enforcement, any of the agencies involved in this case, which is the Utah State Police, the County Sheriff's Department, and the FBI? Not one of those agencies has ever said that DeFurry's being protected. So what the hell is she talking about? Protected. And then you hear this ridiculousness. He's went into hiding. What high profile capital murder case can you think of where the main characters being talked about in the media don't relocate? Why? Because they get pestered to hell and back. Once their address is leaked, every weirdo in the world's coming by their house. The press is showing up, knocking on the door every day. Crazy people are showing up, knocking on the door every day, making threats. Of course he's going to relocate to some place where the crazy people don't know where he is. That's not unusual. That is, in fact, expected. And it's happened in every high-profile murder case I can ever remember. That people don't just hang around. Once their address is leaked through the media, they typically go stay somewhere else with a friend or rent a new place or anything like that. There's no notion at all that he's being protected. The FBI hasn't said one way or the other if he's a suspect. And they're not going to. There has never been a time in history, ever, when the FBI gives you blow-by-blow information in an investigation. When they get ready to make another arrest, you'll hear from them. Not until. They can't do that. That is not how our justice system works. People in law enforcement are not allowed to push narratives. People in law enforcement have to be factual and they have to be able to prove what they say. And it is a big difference between suspecting that someone knew or suspecting that someone was in on it and then being able to prove that. You have to prove that. You can't just think it. You have to prove it. And you don't know what steps the FBI has taken to prove that. For all you know, they could be drawing up warrants for all his friends right now. We just absolutely do not know. So her silly story that he's in hiding and getting away with something, it's just absurd. It's just absurd. They can't arrest somebody till they've got a case on them. Then you'll say to me, well, why is Tyler Robinson arrested? Because he turned himself in and confessed. And they have him on video coming and going. They literally have him on video reattaching the barrel. And I'm going to get to that because of the lies around that whole thing, the gross exaggerations, the stuff that Candace Owens has purposely lied about.
More, and they find it
weird. Do you not think they're working on it?
Glossed over him. You know, we've caught the feds have lied a lot. It's just a fact. Turning point.
What evidence does she have the feds have lied? Her not believing them is not proof they're lying. It's just her not believing it. I haven't heard the feds say much, really. They gave a preliminary assessment. What, about 30 hours into the whole thing? Just before Tyler Robinson turned himself in, and right after. They gave a preliminary, here's what we know so far. Someone being wrong doesn't mean they're lying either, which is what Candace Owens suggests, that in the middle of the chaos, when nobody knows nothing, and you got a guy like Kash Patel who's in Washington, and agents on the ground just arriving, talking to the Utah State Police, of course they're probably going to get some things wrong. That doesn't mean they're lying. That doesn't mean they're lying. It's absurd.
USA people have lied.
And she says the Turning Point USA people lied. She can't prove they lied about anything. She just chooses not to believe what they said.
Can't even touch the Charlie Kirk file without risk.
That's another one. Now, this guy here that I'm kind of borrowing these clips from his reaction stream, this guy's named Clinton Jaws. Pretty cool channel. If you want to check it out, give him a subscribe. He used to be a cop. There's never been a capital murder case where the evidence is just an open book. They have to protect the integrity of the case. They have to not make an effort to taint the jury one direction or another. These are the rules the law enforcement has to play by. So that ridiculous comment from her that you can't even get to the case. Exactly. Yeah, they're sealed by judge, just like every other high-profile case. Why? Because if the FBI or the Utah State Police, because there's two investigations going on here. You've got the Utah State Police who are investigating the murder. And the FBI is investigating the possible involvement of others. Two different investigations going two different directions. But there's never been a time when the police just open a case file and say, here, because people would absolutely try to prove or disprove the evidence, and you'd have some nut like Candace Owens dismantling the evidence based on lies, but then people that would be potential jurors would have already heard that, swaying their opinions one way or another. That's why they never release evidence in a case until the trial. What's going on here, people? Why are you letting her lie to you like this? And those are lies. She has no proof the feds lied about anything. She just doesn't want to believe what they said. That's all. And it's funny. It's pretty obvious that they're a hell of a lot closer to the truth than she is. But she is basing her opinion of the FBI based on one preliminary assessment less than 30 hours into the case. As if Kash Patel should have had every accurate detail within minutes. It just doesn't work that way, folks. Wish it did. It'd be nice. Doesn't work that way. They have to talk to hundreds of people and then sort it all out.
of being fired. The U.S. Marshals that were there when they were doing the quote unquote manhunt for 33 hours said that Kash Patel effectively sent them on a wild goose chase, which is what was signaled to the public when he said, "We got him." And it was actually the.
That was not what happened at all. A man jumped up out of the crowd and said, "I did it." What are the police supposed to do? Just ignore the guy? Honestly. Man gets assassinated and some dude says, "I did it." What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to arrest him? Or just go, get out of here, you didn't do it? There was no lying that went on there. In the mere minutes going in, they thought they did have the guy. He said he did it. But guess what? After asking a few questions, after doing a little bit of investigating, they found out he didn't do it. So then what happened next? Well, then the next suspect. The next suspect was mentioned, right? A picture of Tyler Robinson standing on those very steps that people are still questioning today was released. And his own parents said, "Hey, there's my kid." And the absurdity that any notion that his parents didn't do that. How do you know that that is true? That his parents saw him, identified him, and convinced him to turn himself in? How do we know that is true? Well, human behavior, that's how. Because you can bet your ass if his parents didn't do that, but yet the FBI and the media was saying that they did, they would have a publicist and a lawyer saying, "Our son is innocent. He's being framed. That's a lie. We never said that." Have you heard anything like that from his parents? No, you haven't. Because unfortunately, like many of us, his parents know he's guilty. They understand that it's not just a blind accusation. They understand it's not a blind accusation that Tyler Robinson did this. There's 2 years worth of motive, along with multiple independent videos showing him come there, showing him go up on the roof, showing him lay down and reattach the barrel, showing him flee off the back of the building into a thicket of woods, right where the damn gun was found. And the person in my comments this morning, when I said, "Yeah, there's steps going up to the Losi building, man, you can get on Google Maps, check it out yourself. You know, maybe go watch one of the other YouTubers that's a little more credible than a Candace Owens, you know, like Gray Hughes, you know, a retired New York City homicide detective who actually went to the university and walked Tyler Robinson's whole path that day. Maybe go watch that and absorb some facts." And this guy says to me, "Well, how's come he didn't? Well, why didn't he just go down the steps when he left? Why'd he have to jump down if there were steps?" Well, you know, the steps are on the front of the building. You know, you come across the street, you know, if you've paid attention to any of the evidence of this case so far, you watch the countless videos, there's a tunnel that goes under the street, and that tunnel comes up to ground level right in front of the amphitheater where Charlie was speaking. And to the left are the steps that go up on top, the first mezzanine deck. Right to your left. So why did he flee off the back of the building? Why do you think he did? Because if he would have fled the way he came up the steps, just went back down the steps, he'd have got caught for sure, because that's where everyone was. There were 3,000 people down there. He went off the back to not be seen. You can't see the back of the building from the amphitheater. Thank goodness there was a security cam that captured him. And it wasn't that far down. I know of 3 YouTubers that went there and stood at that very spot and showed their camera how high it is. It's not that high. It wouldn't even be a scary jump. It'd be easy peasy. And if you've watched any video like the ridiculousness that goes on Heavy Duty Country's channel, and the ridiculousness that's went on Candace's channel, where they're showing that video of him jumping off the building, they're purposely showing one that's been zoomed out and manipulated. Because if you watch the actual unadulterated one, you can see that gun so clear, it ain't even funny. You can literally see it perfectly. Not a question in this world that he has that gun in his hand. And then the ridiculousness that they say he wouldn't have had time to take it apart again. He didn't. And nobody ever said he did. That's just an internet-born rumor that he took it apart again. No, he didn't. He took the gun apart to get in there with it without being stopped. There were 3,000 plus people coming to see Charlie that day. He couldn't go walking, doop-bitty-boop-boop, and bebopping in there carrying a damn rifle. So to get in there, to get in position to make his shot, he took the rifle apart. He put the stock down his right pant leg, and he put the barrel down his back, right down into his butt crack. Put his hoodie on over it, and then put the book bag on. And he walked 4 blocks limping, stiff-legged, because he had that stock down his pant leg. He was captured on 4 different independent doorbell cam videos, and he was seen by 2 different people. And if you look real close at the photo of him standing on the stairs, you can see the damn outline of the stock in his pant leg. Go do it now. Go get that picture, load it up into your photo editor, and zoom in on it. And you're going to see, you can literally see the outline of the stock of that gun down his pant leg. It is just damn obvious that that's true. He then laid down on the rooftop and screwed the barrel back on, which only takes a few seconds, despite the lies that you have been told. It's literally held on there with wedge blocks and Phillips screws. It's not a big deal to take it off at all. It's part of the cleaning process, maintenance of the gun. No, it doesn't change the sights. Doesn't do any of that. That's all bullshit. That's all just bullshit. I want you to believe my lie, so I'm going to tell you bullshit. When he fled, he didn't take it back apart. He jumped up, and he is seen on video doing this. He jumped up and ran down, out towards the back, dropped down to his knees, laid right there, wrapped it in a towel, scooted over to the edge, dangled his feet down, stepped down on the window ledge, and jumped. Took him all but about 15 seconds. And he was across the road in that thicket of trees from behind the Losi building where nobody could see him. When he emerged from that thicket of trees, there was an excavator operator operating an excavator, leveling a lot right there. And he asked the excavator operator Could I cut across this lot because someone just got shot at the campus and I want to get out of here because traffic's going to get crazy? And the excavator operator said, sure. And that is where he left two of the best, most identifiable, very unique shoe prints, because he walks a bit pigeon-toed and it wears off the side of his heel in an odd wear pattern. And the shoe print has that odd wear pattern that is very, very visible. And he was identified by the excavator operator. Yep, that's who I talked to. The absurdity that Tyler Robinson would be there with a rifle to do this because he wanted to avenge his furry's pain, because the furry blamed everything on Trump and Charlie Kirk, the way all of these trans radicals do. The inner guilt that they feel because they are defying instinctual Mother Nature. There is a natural guilt that comes with that, and they misconstrue it as a pain caused by the people that say it's wrong to do. And if these people weren't saying it was wrong to do, I wouldn't have this pain. When it's actually just natural, instinctual guilt for doing something you know you're not supposed to be doing. You know, even dogs display guilt when they do something they know they weren't supposed to do. It's a fact. And it's very instinctual. And it's a big part of why these trans radicals hate Christians so much. And look at this one. Look. Can you imagine being this pathetic as this guy? Just speaking the facts, the known facts of the case, make someone a know-it-all. Just known facts of the case. I couldn't imagine, like just being obsessed with somebody on YouTube, like spending my every waking moment trying to learn, an operating system that is of no use to me, just because he mentioned that he used to use it. I mean, that's fucking as pathetic as you can get. I mean, how many people remember him calling that dipshit, that lawnmower guy that was the caretaker that mowed the grass down there at that motocross track, and brought him on his podcast, and he spewed absolute, complete fairy tale bullshit for 2 hours without taking a breath. And everybody but this dumbass knew he was full of shit. Whew. Anyway, since I know it all, where was I? Yeah, so yeah, that's why he fled off the back of the building. He wanted to get caught. He wanted to get away. The steps go out the front. I mean, I can't believe that there are people out there with an intelligence level that requires me to have to say that they couldn't come up with that conclusion on their own. Whenever you look at these type of things, you have to ask yourself, what is the most likely thing to have happened? Okay, so let's say there's, one person that is threatening to delete this other person all the time. And every day they're saying how much they hate him. And they're so obsessed with expressing their hate for this person that their own parents literally, it starts to become a contingency within the household. And the parents have to stop inviting him to any kind of family gatherings because he obsesses with hating this person so much. And that he's on multiple social media groups that are anti this person, where there are threats on this person's life being made almost daily. And that person gets shot while being asked the very question about that group of people. And you're telling me that you want to believe that it is more likely that there's some multi-layer, convoluted, international, multi-country, 800 moving part, 1,200 complicit player conspiracy rather than the dude that's been threatening to do it, making good on the threat finally. It's ridiculous, man. Oh. It'd be one thing if there were no videos showing him coming there with the gun, and there were no videos showing him leave with it, and there was no evidence of him ever threatening to do it. I could see having doubts, but that's not the case, is it? We can literally follow him from the time he left his house until he walked across that lot that was being excavated. We can literally follow him from the various independent videos that picked him up along the way, from where he stopped to get gas. The couple of red light cams picked him up. He was picked up on 2 gas station convenience store cams, a fast food cam. He was picked up at Dairy Queen. He was picked up by several doorbell cameras. His car, in the car, coming up the street, Gray Hughes and Paramount Tactical got video from people in that cul-de-sac from their doorbell cams showing him coming up the street in the car. You can see him in the car. And then we see him limping along all the way there, limping down underneath the tunnel, coming up the other side, limping up the stairs. Moments later, you hear one crisp crack of a rifle being fired. And then we see him fleeing off the back of the building with something long wrapped in a towel. Well, then we find out he had bullets engraved with little messages to Charlie Kirk on them. What the fuck is that about? If Israel did it. You guys, man. Candace Owens hasn't presented one microspeck of relevant evidence. She just talks about things that look suspicious without ever saying why. Let's say, okay, let's agree for a minute that it's suspicious that Mike McCoy would make a phone call in the midst of a tragedy. Okay. Now what? What does that mean? You can literally conclude that he was complicit in the cold-blooded murder of his friend and boss because he made a phone call? Really? And I couldn't help but put Upchurch and her face together because so much of this is similar to what Upchurch did. Using all this confirmation bias to convince himself of something that just wasn't real. I mean, they had it in their head that Xana May was an actual suspect in the Kylie Rodney case when they were the only ones in the whole fucking world that thought she was a suspect. Because she wasn't a suspect. Not even close. It's absurd. And they had all this shit in their head that there was some big investigation going on, and there wasn't one. It was an auto accident. There was no evidence to preserve. We don't need to preserve evidence in an auto accident. We don't have to take fingerprints and all this in an auto accident. You know, if there's a murder, we do. But in an auto accident, no. No, we don't have to do fingerprints, and we don't have to like bag everything up and enter it into evidence. But they had convinced themselves that all these things were evidence that were just not. There was just nothing. And Candace Owens is doing this to the same small-minded, gullible people that believe that nonsense. It is mind-blowing how gullible some people can be. But if you're watching her or watching that ridiculous heavy-duty country, one of the lowest IQ people I've ever seen be able to get 1 million subscribers somehow. I mean, that guy's low IQ, big time. I mean, he literally gets fooled with a stock photo from Google search, a stock photo. And he has a whole breathless video about it being Tyler Robinson's rifle, and it wasn't even just some fucking image from Google. Like if you Googled, that'd be like the first one that would come up. He thought he was breaking the case. He was blowing the 117th lid off the case. And then to watch Candace Owens create a new suspect out of absolutely fucking nothing every other day for 3 months. And not one person go, hey, now, come on, man. Yeah, you said it was Israel last week. Now you're saying it was Egypt, and there's airplanes following people. And, you know, she talked all that nonsense about those Egyptian planes. And Steven Crowder debunked that in a matter of minutes with fucking receipts. Just shameful. Shameful. And then Erica Kirk's like, well, that'd be all well and good if I was with Charlie at every one of these places you say these planes went, but I wasn't. I was at home, pregnant. So the plane was following me. It had been at my house. I mean, just the stupidity. Absolute. And what are the planes going to do if the planes are following Erica Kirk? What would the planes be doing? You really believe that all this would be put into motion because Charlie Kirk said privately he was getting a little tired of, the USA being a huge fanboy for Israel's, bullshit. If Israel was the type of people that would just delete anybody that said bad things about them, Nick Fuentes been gone a long time ago. And Tucker Carlson would probably be gone too. And I just got to ask, for those of you that believe some of that small-minded nonsense, that this paid, divisionist, opportunist is spreading purposely to divide MAGA, if you were professional assassins and you're on the inside, baby, you've got access to the target 24/7, 365. You wouldn't wait till they were standing in front of 3,000 eyewitnesses and God knows how many independent cell phones recording. You'd take him out on the road on the way there, and he'd sleep in a motel room, or it's just dumb to think someone would plan an assassin in public against someone they had access to in private. The reason why Tyler Robinson did it in public, because that was the only way he could have access. But if his own people were doing it, they could have done it anytime. And how did they get Tyler Robinson to show up there with his grandpa's gun and not actually shoot, but they actually shot? But then he actually confessed. And he actually ran away with the gun right after the shot. But he didn't shoot. He climbed up on the roof with it. He put the barrel back on because they got that on video. But he didn't shoot. Someone else shot. And then he fled off the back with the gun. And then when his picture was showed publicly and his parents started calling him going, "What the hell did you do?" He panics and is acting like a big baby, talking about going to take himself out. So they convinced him to turn himself in. But he didn't do it. Someone else did that was also there with a rifle. Come on, man. Do better. Do better, people.
Wrong person.
Liar.
And so it caused people to stop looking because they were convinced that they had the shooter. They felt that that was in order to allow the real perpetrators of the crimes to get away.
I wouldn't be beyond believing that a couple of Tyler Robinson's friends did do that. I wouldn't be beyond believing that they would try to help their guy get away. I wouldn't be beyond believing they knew ahead of time. I believe that the meeting that they all had at Furry's house a few weeks prior was a planning to that. I believe they even did a walkthrough on that day. And I believe the FBI knows this. They just can't prove it yet. They're still gathering evidence so that they can prove it and then charge these people. But I know that they're very aware of it because when the FBI was asked what little they could say due to the gag order, they did say, yeah, we've checked every one of those, proposed leads. You betcha. So they see the same things we see. They have the same suspicion we have. But they got to prove it. They can't just go arrest them. They got to have proof. That's what they're working on. But to think that anything else, but that there was some big, huge, multi-layer, the notion that the ER trauma team and the resident established neurosurgeon would suddenly have some allegiance to Israel that they were willing to risk going to prison for life and losing their career to lie for Israel to delete somebody. This is stupid. It's Scooby-Doo stuff, man. I would argue you couldn't no way get away with something like that because somebody would run their mouth. There's just way too, it would require so many people to be involved that someone would run their mouth, someone would fumble, someone would make a mistake, someone would screw up. Somehow there'd be proof somewhere, some way. When you're talking about that many fucking people, it's ridiculous. Of course he was hit in the neck. Of course it didn't come out. We know this because the trauma team and the neurosurgeon told us this. This ain't some FBI undercover guy. He's the neurosurgeon of that hospital. Been there for years. Been there for fucking years. That whole nonsense that his team didn't give him first aid. When you can sit there and see they're clearly working on him. As long as you aren't listening to some dumbass narrate shit to you and zoom in real tight where you can't really distinguish and then sit there and narrate and see he's taking the C4 trigger device off. No, he's stuffing gauze in his goddamn wound. That's what he's doing. Good grief.
That's all I'm saying. I had never made that claim that Mikey McCoy planned Charlie Kirk's assassination.
No, I think like a lot of the claims you're making it's
See what she does? See what she does? Now she's saying she never said Mikey McCoy. Well, what was your whole episode about his acting weird and being suspicious and making a phone call? If you're not accusing him of being complicit, then what the fuck are you saying? Actually. And you will never get that answer from her. Because that's all she's doing is just sowing confusion and division, attacking all the conservatives. Why would she, out of the blue, you like or hate Tim Pool, he's an extremely credible journalist. He didn't get where he's at by not being credible. And he was a pioneer in the independent journalist game. He was the very first #1 podcast. And he didn't get where he's at being a high school dropout by lying over petty shit that could be easily proven. And there ain't nobody could ever show any evidence where Tim Pool like knowingly lied to his audience about something newsworthy. At most, Tim is accused of being a fence setter and never taking a side and milk toast, some would say. But lie to steer a news story one direction or the other? No. He would never do that. He's never done that. So for Candace Owens to just claim out of the blue that he lied saying people shot at his compound, why would he lie about something so easily checked out? It's just absurd. Why would she do that? Well, because he's a Trump supporter. That's why. Haven't you guys noticed she hasn't accused a single Democrat? Not one single Antifa, not one single trans radical. She hasn't accused any of Tyler's friends or even Tyler himself. But she keeps accusing right-leaning pundits and people at Turning Point. And if you think that's all some big coincidence, I don't know what to tell you. You're being manipulated big time manipulated.
It's difficult to work out what you're actually claiming. You're throwing a lot of mud in the air, including people's names, which immediately then has millions of people chasing after
but I'm making
these guys
money
on social media and thinking,
I'm sorry they get caught lying.
See, now she's calling Mikey McCoy a liar because she doesn't believe that he made the phone calls to who he said he made them to. She just don't believe it. She can't prove it. She just don't believe it, so therefore he's lying. That's fucking bullshit. And she paints a target on his back. It's one thing to say, oh, I'm just asking questions and I want to get to the bottom. Well, if that was true, she'd be asking questions of Antifa. She'd be asking questions of trans radicals. She'd be asking questions of Tyler Robinson's friend. She would do a little bit more work looking into the furry. She would do a little bit more work looking into the guy that asked the question. She's not even hardly mentioned that dude. I don't think she has mentioned him. And he's suspicious as all fuck. And the dude that turned around and cheered, their other buddy, suspicious, right? Way more suspicious than Mike McCoy. But funny how Candace don't mention any of those people in her I'm Just Looking for the Truth series in between sponsor ad reads and all.
I'm sorry. What is this? This is like the people, the public is actually being abused. Okay, let's stop pretending that the victim
are they, or do you just
Rob
want them to think
McCoy.
they are?
No, the public is being abused because you're basically saying, stop noticing that people at Turning Point USA are lying.
No, I'm not.
See, there she goes again. She has no proof that anybody at Turning Point lied about anything. Just no proof. She just says it because she don't believe him. It's a lie.
How dare Candace and the public know? Yes, you are.
They weren't lying.
But when there's an
doing.
emphatic repudiation of what you're saying.
If Mikey lies and Rob McCoy lies and Blake Neff lies, and yes, all of these people have lied on record.
So many lies.
Oh, these people have lied on record. Not true. Not true at all. You not believing them doesn't mean they lied.
Assassination. And the public goes, hey, that's kind of a weird lie. You're like, how?
The public isn't doing that. You're doing it. The public isn't. I never thought for a second. I think it's purely, I don't think there's one single thing suspicious about the guy in charge of the cameras taking the SD card out of a camera after this tragedy unfolded and the dust has settled. Charlie's at the hospital and they're just standing there, just completely lost as to what to do. Because, it's not something you practice or you got experience of. Okay, what am I going to do if my friend and boss is assassinated 3 feet from me? I don't think it's a bit suspicious for somebody like that to walk off to the side and maybe call a family member, call a friend, call the office, call somebody. That's a very fucking common thing to do. Nothing suspicious about it at all. Not even the slightest bit. But because she's narrating it and she's creating the story she wants it to be.
How dare you put a target on their back by noticing that they're lying? I mean, what weird psychological
target on their back by noticing that they're lying. No, you put a target on his back by running around saying he's suspicious. He may not have called Erica Kirk. Why would he run to a grassy knoll? Well, why would she even use wording like that?
As Erica,
is this.
do you believe?
Lie.
Okay, but do you believe Erica Kirk has been lying about it?
No, I have been explicit on my show when people were saying.
She said everyone betrayed Charlie. Everyone. What's that mean? Everyone. Everyone but his wife? Just fucking stupid. If you guys think that Antifa and trans radicals aren't capable, they have killed police officers. They have burnt down entire city blocks. They killed a shop owner. They killed a retired police officer that was just trying to protect his friend's pawn shop. They tried to kill Kyle Rittenhouse. They have rioted in one fashion or another pretty much nonstop since George Floyd. Maybe even just a little before that. They've taken over entire city blocks. They've shown up at every speaking event Charlie's ever had, threatening to harm him, rioting, setting fires. And then you've got this furry who blames every bit of his depression and his social anxiety on Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump, and he's obsessed and whining about it daily. And Tyler Robinson's friends say he would often be consoling the furry because he would be upset and crying because Charlie Kirk said something that hurt his feelings. You know, this truth that he hated to hear, that a man could never become a woman. And you think it's just a stretch that some nerdy social misfit, because that's usually who they always are, from the school shooters on through, that's what we always find out. They're social misfits, obsessed with stuff. And you think it's a stretch that they would do it, but it's not a stretch that there'd be 400 people involved in a convoluted, multi-layer, multinational, tri-country conspiracy. And it's just absurd. The most likely thing to have happened would have been the people that were threatening to kill Charlie, the people that hated him, the people that professed hate for him, the people that lie about him, the very people that celebrated when he was assassinated. Those are the people that would be the most likely to have done it. But yet Candace Owens has barely murmured it. She'll accuse somebody at turning point without a microspeck of evidence. But she hasn't accused the kid that asked the question. She hasn't accused the dude that stood up and cheered. Did she do a deep dive on that guy? No. He's actually gave 2 interviews that went very badly. His interviews went really poorly. You could very clearly tell that he was lying through his teeth because the guy's not a good liar. And then he was trying to be facetious and it failed miserably. It came across as fake because it was. And the kid that asked the question, there was an Antifa flag on his damn apartment wall. And he's saying, well, I really never knew much about Charlie Kirk. And I was just kind of curious and wanted to get to know him better. I find it hard to believe that you'd be flying an Antifa flag and not have seen all the clips of Charlie Kirk and all the shit taken out of context and everything. It's just nonsense. Of course that guy knew. Of course that guy hated Charlie Kirk, right along with every other kid that going to that college that age, because they've been brainwashed to believe that a man can become a woman. They've been brainwashed to believe that it's a good thing to just open your border and let people pour in here. They've been brainwashed to believe that it's racist to tell the truth about black on black crime statistics. All of a sudden these truths that they hate to hear are suddenly now just hate speech. It's just not true. The truth can never be hate speech. No matter what the truth is, it can't ever be hate speech. It's just the truth. And just because you hate to hear it, that doesn't make it hate speech. But unfortunately, these young people have been conditioned to believe that it is. Because the truth is, a man cannot become a woman. That's the truth. And they just can't, no matter how bad they want to hear it, that's the truth. The truth is, a young black person has to fear another black person around their own age more than any white man. The chances of them getting hurt by another black person their own age and a white person, I'd say there's a 98% chance they're going to get hurt by another black person. It is true that black men don't even make up 9% of the population, yet they commit over 80% of all violent crime. It's just a true statistic. And they try to tie poverty to crime, which is not true, because if that was the case, then we would see constant killings in Appalachia, because they are way more poor with literally no, in the inner city, when you're poor, you've got resources. There's soup kitchens and restaurants that donate food every night, and assistance, and in Appalachia, there ain't none of that shit. Them people are poor. They don't go around killing each other. They don't have bars on their windows. There is an issue in the black community because of that. And you could debate from here to the cows on home as to why, but the truth is that is what's going on. But yet they misconstrue it as hate speech, and they've been conditioned to believe it's hate speech. So that is why they hated the man and wanted to delete him. And they are the most likely of suspect, for sure. The predictions the day before from his clique of friends that Candace Owens has completely ignored. Never mentioned it, acts like that never happened. I mean, they made psychic-like predictions. Something big's coming. You'll know it when you see it. That was not a coincidence. That is evidence. And if I was some huge podcaster with millions of followers and I was just seeking the truth, I'd be deep diving on those people. I wouldn't be saying Ben Shapiro's a suspect and Tim Pool's a suspect and Andrew Wilson's a suspect, and it's just ridiculous. Donald Trump's a suspect. Kash Patel's a suspect. Dan Bongino's a suspect. Oh, but nobody from the Antifa, no trans radicals, no one on the left. You're being manipulated. I just want you to know, if you believe the shit that Candace Owens is spewing, I see you as somebody that is incredibly stupid, extremely low IQ. Because it is blatantly obvious who shot Charlie Kirk. Blatantly obvious. If you choose to digest facts. Now, I want to listen to Ryan a little bit. I hope I change one person's mind to at least be skeptical of what you're being told. And have just as much skepticism for that as you do the truth. And go listen to some alternative YouTubers who are just deep diving on the facts. Go watch one of those true crime, Paramount Tactical, Gray Hughes, and go watch their video where they do a total walkthrough. The whole way Tyler Robinson went, how he fled, where he put the gun, all of that. So you can arm yourself with some actual facts. Instead of letting these paid, and I'm telling you, the only thing that makes sense to me as to why Candace Owens would want to wreck her own credibility and burn every bridge and divide MAGA is because she's getting paid. It's the only thing that makes sense. She sure as hell wouldn't do that for no reason. And when she literally just tried to claim that now Ben Shapiro's a suspect because he criticized her. It's just fucking absurd at this point. So if I can change one person's mind, I'll go through some of you guys' comments here in a minute. I see a lot of you guys made some good comments.
Bro, I think I'm going to be calling the FBI when I wake back up. Because you know why? I think I just figured out a bunch of Peyton downstairs. So, dude.
I don't know who Peyton is, but Peyton, if you can hear me, if you're sitting at Ryan's house and you're confirming this fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puff shit, he's these rabbit holes he's running down, shame on you, you sons of bitch. Shame on you. You're helping destroy a prolific artist.
This Ryan wedding stuff, I was like, bro, this just seems like a fake name, right? So check this out. Not too long ago, all my friends dipped out on me and was acting weird.
He keeps claiming that he doesn't know why all his friends dipped out on him. And every one of them have very clearly told him why. Ripta made one video saying, man, don't talk about me. Don't drag me. I just can't work with you anymore. You're not the person you used to be. I can't deal with it no more. And I'll tell you, it takes a lot to quit a gig like that, to be honest with you. Them guys were getting paid to do little to nothing, pretty much. They told you why they left, Ryan. You were slandering a new person every other day for no reason, paranoid about everything, and they couldn't get you to cooperate with nothing. You were checked out most of the time. They would show up to work, and you just weren't with the program. So what do they do now? Well, wait on you to get with the program. Only you don't ever get with the program. They got tired of that shit, man. They got tired of the games and the manipulation, the paranoia. You brought in a new band and then started slandering them all of a sudden. Before the album even hit the store shelf. And the album was rushed and it was horrible. And then you blame the band. That's why your friends left, dude.
And saying a bunch of weird shit, right? And I was real confused. So after all my friends like dipped out on me and shit, didn't have no explanation, still don't have a explanation besides saying I'm crazy and on drugs or whatever, right? Okay, well, after they all left, they all clicked up with the Jelly Roll and Adam and all this.
He has been carrying on about Jelly Roll all this time because Deerdorf asked Bunny O to help him set up his own Deerdorf merch. A lot of people followed him because he was closely associated with Ryan. And there ain't a doubt in my mind some people would have bought his merch. There's not a doubt in my mind. Every YouTuber that puts merch up, people will buy it. And, you know, Deerdorf's always putting up videos, doing little projects that people would have probably bought his merch. But he went to Bunny to ask about merch. And that's morphed into this notion that they were all conspiring to kill him. And it's as absurd as Ben Shapiro being a suspect in Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Right. Long story very short, because it's a long, confusing. That's what it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be confusing. I think it's supposed to not make any sense, because the more it don't make sense, the more people type and the more misconstrued the AI gets. And here's the reason why the AI is the most important thing in this situation, because
the more construed the AI gets. Okay, so the AI is listening to everybody. Okay.
We watched a video a minute ago. Do you remember that video we watched where it was talking about how it was like a network instead of a person? Okay, so we just watched this video that was talking about the situation like it was a network and not a person, because it was designed for the person never get caught. So recently, when I say recently, I mean like the past 6 months. In the past 6 months, my friends all dipped out. They didn't have any explanation. They were all acting. And then
every one of them made a video explaining literally heartfelt video explaining why they had to take the tough road of parting ways with you. One at a time, man. And, Deerdorf, I think, honestly, Deerdorf and Cousin Billy stayed loyal longer than they should have. Because when Ripta left, and he very clearly gave his explanation as to why, Deerdorf and Cousin Billy actually chose to continue to stay loyal to Ryan, and they dragged Ripta over that shit. And then a month later, they were making videos, coming clean. Everything Ripta said was true. So they lost some credibility. But other than that, yeah, they told him exactly why they left. And it wasn't easy. Deerdorf's video to Ryan was heavy duty, man. That shit was real. And, how did Ryan respond? He laughed at him. Which I think was really stupid.
Let's see, I got some cards in the mail, like debit cards or like gift cards or something. And I went and took it to the police station. So while I'm at the...
Why would you go to the police station? Because you got some cards in the mail. That's just not even a normal thing to do.
Police department turning these things in, being like, yo, this is my mailbox. Long story short, I was talking to some of the police officers, and I was talking to them about one of my guards because they were starting to act weird, right? And I was like, yo, the dude's got 2 names or whatever. I told him the 2 names. The cop was like, dude, Church, we got some bad down here, and they only got 1 name. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I fired him. So the one guard that I had fired, Rob Otero, the one that had 2 names, he had a name that was Rob Otero and a name that was Austin Merrill, right? Well, that was a red flag in the first place, right? So, but it didn't register to me because he was like, I was in the military and yada, 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 all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, maybe he was high up in the military or something. He has 2 names. I mean, he said he done all this cool, crazy, gave me a Bronze Star and all this other stuff, right? Whatever. Well, check this out, dog. You go to Google. We'll get to this in a second. Go here. Paste. Go to it. Look how close it is. So watch where I go next. So here's the cars and stuff that are here in Clarksville, Tennessee. You got this Tacoma, and you got this. But this ain't the point. Here's the point. Watch this. Hold on, wait. So I'm gonna keep it right here. Watch. I'm gonna stay right here. Go to the next little slide. Watch when I type in Ryan James Wedding. It's Ryan James Wedding. And then enter. Whoops. Okay, so look, click. Dude, it's right down the street, and it's called Wedding World. Now here's the crazy part about
it. It's not called James Ryan Wedding. I would argue you could go anywhere on Google Maps and type in wedding, and you'll find some place that hosts weddings, plans weddings, does wedding pictures, something wedding, probably in every community in the entire country.
This, but check this out. It's crazier because look what we found out. Watch this. When I say we, I mean me and my homeboy Peyton back there. You can't see him, it's in the dark. All right, so you see that thing about the Audi? Watch this, dude. when you click Street View in front of the Wedding World place, watch this. Oh, right, look in the back. You have this car and this car, and then right here. Let me go sideways one more time. Look at that right there. And when you AI take a picture of this car and you ask what kind of car is this, look what it says. So anyway, during this like AI summary, it talks about two vehicles. It talks about a white Audi and a Ford Explorer. What do you want to bet the Ford Explorer is black? And I know somebody's gonna be like, oh, there's a bunch of black Ford Explorers. Most of them are black. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying.
That wasn't even a black Ford Explorer. That was a gray Jeep Grand Cherokee. But okay.
It looked like a police car. During that time, there was this guy named Josh that was like the leader of this like security group or whatever, and the group was called the Winter Group. And I don't think they're active on Instagram anymore. Their Instagram's not doing jack. But if they're talking about this dude being dangerous, and if it involves these people, it's gonna be the Josh guy, and the mother is dangerous.
Because he found a place that does something with weddings, and there was cars parked behind it. Okay.
Why do I say he's dangerous? Because black belt in like everything. Not a joke. One time we was at the gym in Ashland City because I had to like work out or whatever for tour and like get back in shape. And this he was like, oh y'all, come on. He's like, I'll wrestle all y'all. It was me, my brother, and somebody else. And we all tried to take him on it, bro. We didn't have a chance. You notice in that was it Hardy and like Morgan Wallen or whatever? Remember, in Morgan Wallen's body cam footage, remember I said this is why they released it for everyone to see. And it ain't because Morgan Wallen threw a chair off the roof. It's because the two security guards he's got.
You realize that that's been almost 3 years ago. Might even have been a little more than 3 years ago. He's talking about it like it happened yesterday, and it's relevant to something that's going on with him. Because Morgan Wallen got drunk and threw a chair off the roof. And somebody uploaded a video of it years ago.
Remember what he says to the cop? Well, he says, what's he say? He's like, yes, my security guard. Here's my buddy. Here, come meet my buddy. He used to work for, he used to guard Obama or whatever. Bro, these security guard dudes are like high-level security guard dudes. Notice Trump was like, yo, Obama, that's got he didn't really say Obama, but he was like, yo, that guy's got a messed up birth certificate or whatever. Bro, dog. The security team that used to guard me and everything, yeah, they worked for politicians during the same time. And everybody out here being like, oh, this is a government psyop. Donald Trump knows what's going on. It's a psyop. No, this ain't no psyop. This FBI, if you know history, you know it's not far-fetched for there to be kind of like, in a sense, two versions of the FBI. Bro, I'm telling you right now, I'm right. I don't give a. The FBI's going to be watching this. You'll see. Maybe.
Dude. He's gone, man. This dude is fucking gone, man. You people that are still enabling him, man. He's gone, dude. Thinks the FBI is watching him. Fucking finds a random wedding place on Google Maps and thinks the cars parked behind it are significant to him somehow. But Morgan Wallen getting drunk and throwing a chair off a rooftop on Broadway years ago, somehow relevant. Jelly Roll in the middle of this dream fucking career he's got going on, wants to, and, risk it all and deleting for some reason. Like, what? I don't even know what the reason would be. It certainly ain't jealousy, because Jelly Rolls reach heights Ryan will never see. Never. He'll never be inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. He'll never share the stage with the people that Jelly Roll has. He'll never be on Joe Rogan's podcast multiple times. No. Jeez. So I get to a few comments here, and I got to get off here. I got shit to do today. Got to go do a little Christmas shopping. I just wanted to share that. Ryan's going to have to pay the Rodney family here real soon. There's no winning the case. There's no lawyer that'll take it. They don't want no part of it. And, yeah. Oh, man. It's not that they won't. It's that they won't vote at all. What do you mean this is what we get? See, this is what I don't mean. So Clorox Bonnet says Republicans have the House and the Senate, and Trump is president, and this is what we get. What did we get? I don't know what you mean, because they've done a phenomenal job. This is what I mean. You're digesting nonsense from the wrong people, and you're not getting any facts. The Trump administration has been moving like lightning. You're never going to hear this on mainstream media. Mainstream media is never going to come to you and tell you their accomplishments. But what do you mean this is what we get? I say, hell yeah, give me more. Our border is completely sealed. We have trade deals with tariff offsets with every major country. For the first time since the job and manufacturing killing bill known as NAFTA was concocted. The tariffs that we're taking in right now, Clorox Bonnet, are more than we take in taxes. And if it stays on par for the next 3 years, working class people will pay like no income tax, no federal income tax, and they'll actually be receiving dividend checks. And as of 3 days ago, because of the money we're taking in tariffs that the media just won't tell you about because it's so damn awesome, everyone that served in the military is getting a check. It's in the mail right now as I'm speaking for $1,776. And he made it that amount to commemorate the birth of the nation, because he's calling this a rebirth. We had tariffs before NAFTA that offset the difference between our dollar and the country we were trading with, so that American workers never had to compete with third world labor wages. That's what the tariffs were for. NAFTA, we took all our tariffs away, and then China put tariffs on all our products. So if you wanted to buy an American car in China, the American car is priced extremely high because 40% of the price is a tariff tax. So now the working class person can't afford an American car in China. They have to buy something else. And guess what? Only the American cars had tariffs on them, no other cars. And we put up with that from China for 40 goddamn years. you could buy a prescription, a drug, a medical drug you could buy in Canada for 400% less than it cost in the United States for the exact same pill due to tariffs on us, but us not giving tariffs back. And we finally have a president that had a backbone strong enough to say, we're going to put the tariffs back. And it is working like there ain't, I've never seen a plan work so damn well and so effective right out of the gate. We are taking in a serious amount of dough every minute of every second. Every single thing that we consume, Clorox bonnet, comes from China. Everything. And now there's a tariff on everything we consume from China. And it is an astronomical amount of money. I don't know what you mean by this is what you get. Border sealed, tariffs, bringing in money like crazy. Manufacturers are now returning to the United States because it is now profitable to build things in the United States where it wasn't before. Gas price has came down from an average of near $4 to it's been below $2 a couple of times here now. And I look for it by summer to be in about $1.80 a gallon. Again, just like his first term. But they claimed he wasn't responsible for it. But it's just magic that every time Trump gets in office, gas prices come down. Things across the board are coming down. Not everything, but a lot of things. We've started no new wars. And let me tell you something that just warms my heart. And I got this directly from a drug addict. The price of fentanyl is up on the street about 600% because it's not so easy to get anymore. We're shooting every boat full of it headed this way. The last boat we sunk had 2 tons of fentanyl. 2 tons. 4,000 pounds. Yeah, this is what we get when Trump's in office. Yeah, we get law and order. Washington, D.C., all the crime's been ran out. All the criminals are gone. You can actually go visit the Capitol now and walk the National Mall and not get robbed and mugged and your car broken into. So, yeah, this is what we get when the Republicans are in office. So I don't know. I think you better change what you're digesting because it sounds to me that you're allowing the Democrats to do nothing but put negative stuff in your head. It's not Donald Trump's fault that a trans radical convinced his lover to take Charlie Kirk out to make his life all better and make him not feel guilty about sleeping with other men and pretending to be a woman. That's not Donald Trump's fault. It's not Donald Trump's fault that Candace Owens is being an opportunist, lying, manipulating piece of shit, weaponizing her fan base to accuse innocent people of heinous crimes, while she completely ignores the actual suspects because they're not Republican voters. It just blows my mind. Nobody's picked up on that yet. She hasn't accused one single person on the left. Not one. Yet they're the ones who celebrated. They're the ones who threatened to do it all the time. They're the ones who run around telling gross lies about him constantly. They're the ones that turned around and cheered when it happened. They're the ones that asked the question about trans radicals shooting places up right when he got nailed. They're the ones that predicted it happening the day before. They're the ones that fucking confessed. They're the ones that got caught with the gun. They're the ones seen on video. So don't mention any of those people. And you think it's a coincidence. You think she's just out there looking for the truth while she is completely ignoring established motives and suspects. No, man. I think you better change where you're getting your information. Trump is doing a kick-ass job, and he's accomplishing. That man is up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they are literally pen to paper by 5:15, and he don't stop till about 10 o'clock at night. He wears the people out around him. He never stops. He has passed so much legislation. It's unbelievable the amount of shit he accomplishes in a day. I feel sorry for you. Keeping it Trio says she loves her some Candace. I guess you like being lied to and talked to like you're stupid. I suppose you think he had to scale the building like Spider-Man instead of walk up the fucking steps. Suppose you think Mike McCoy ran to a grassy knoll instead of just off to the side after the dust had cleared and made a phone call, for fuck's sakes. A phone call. That's suspicious, a phone call. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The FBI is nowhere near. That's exactly what the only thing I've heard the FBI say officially since that preliminary report about 30 hours in where they didn't have all the information is that they are nowhere near done investigating the possibility of accessories. And there are several people they are looking at. What they said. So Candace just pretends they quit. Candace just pretends that the FBI just said Tyler did it alone. They never said no such a thing. Never said no such a thing. Neither did the Utah State Police. They never said no such thing either. They've charged him with murder and the investigation's ongoing. You know, people that are being framed, just wrap your mind around this, you naysayers. Someone that is being framed for capital murder that carries life in prison and or the death penalty. Those people don't show up in court grinning and smiling and laughing and tee-heeing. They show up in court going, oh my God, I'm innocent, I'm being framed. You can't watch them literally, clearly mouth to their lawyer, I shot that motherfucker. They don't voluntarily surrender. And so you love you some Candace. Well, you're loving, you know, I mean, I get it. She's you know, she's easy on the eyes and, you know, she's charismatic. I hope you like her for those reasons, not the fucking horse shit that's coming out of her mouth right now, accusing a bunch of innocent people. This is, you know, I went through this when Upchurch was doing this shit to the Rodney family. It is so wrong for a celebrity that has millions of people hanging on their every word to say something they're not sure about someone. To paint a target on Mike McCoy's back because he made a damn phone call. There could be some nut out there convinced he's avenging Charlie and hurt him in some way. Then what? Because he is guilty of nothing other than making a damn phone call. Accusing innocent people is wrong. And there's nothing you can say that makes it okay to ever do that. And Candace has continually insinuated that innocent people are involved in something sinister. And after she doxes them, for God's sake, putting their lives at risk, putting them in danger, convincing millions of people to hate them for no reason. And you say, I love me some Candace. Well, good for fucking you. I'm glad to know you've got a little bit of character. I'll bet if it was you she was accusing, you wouldn't utter those words. I hear you, his third eye. He's smoking it with his third eye. Man, I hate to see how bad off he is, man. That last video was just such a rambling, incoherent, tying things together just so wildly that are just literally ridiculous. And he believes this shit, man, to his core. Saying his friends left and have never said why or had a reason why. When they've all very clearly all had the same reason. They all had the same reason why they left. Well, it'd be one thing if there was some, podcaster out there telling you what to think about the actual evidence. But if you're listening to conspiracy theories and you haven't paid any attention to the actual evidence, yeah, you're a dipshit. I'm sorry. That's just dumb. That's a dumb thing to do. If that doesn't include you, good. If it does, you're incredibly stupid. That's all I'm going to say. You are incredibly stupid. The administration is nothing but chaos and lies. Okay. I think you might want to change the channel off of MSNBC there, honey. They aren't very truthful over there. The administration is not chaos. It's not full of lies. It's full of getting shit done. The best president in my lifetime. Ronald Reagan was pretty fucking good. But he didn't seal the border. He gave amnesty. If Reagan would have sealed the border instead of giving amnesty, I would have said he was the best president of my lifetime. But because he gave amnesty, he caved. I got to say Donald Trump, who has done exactly what he said he would do. The whole big fairy tale that there's some client list of guilty people that somebody has that Epstein had, and if Donald Trump would just tell him to release it, my life would be better. It's just crazy. There's no such fucking list. The only thing they have is just pictures of people he was with periodically here and there and some flight logs and shit. There's no list of guilty people. There just isn't. That's an internet myth. And like I said, I'll say this again. If you were blackmailing high-powered people for money so often that it has made you incredibly wealthy. What's stopping one of those very rich, powerful people, instead of paying you money for your blackmail, what's stopping them from just putting a hit out on you and having you taken out? I mean, you see how silly it starts to sound when you start to really look at it? I mean, you might get away with blackmailing one rich, powerful person. And they don't do nothing to you. You might even get away with doing it to two of them. But by the time you're making a couple of $1 billion and you can't show the IRS where the money came from, and you got all these rich people hating you because you're bilking them for money and blackmailing them, I would say you would get assassinated long before you made it to jail. Why would they wait till he was in jail? If he was blackmailing them and now he's in jail, why wouldn't they just kill him before he got in jail so they wouldn't even have to worry about being blackmailed? Just get rid of that sumbitch. I mean, if they could pull off an assassination inside the jail, surely they could have taken him out. I mean, they could have killed him right there on his own island. Would have took cops a pretty good while to get there. Guys got to start rethinking these things. I'm not condoning anything the guy did. He was not a pedo. That's a lie. He was into young teens. He wasn't into preteen anything. He was into young teens. That's not pedo. Don't care how many times you say it. Don't care how you gasp. I don't care how you stand on your head. I don't care how you pound the desk. That is not what that is. Go read the definition. Now, doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, use the proper terminology. One, he was not pedo. Not even a little bit. Two, there's not one girl, not one, that said they were forced. Not one. Every single one of them couldn't wait to come back a second time and get paid of their own accord, of their own doing. And any notion that high school girls can't be willing bed hoppers is ridiculous. Teen pregnancy has been a thing since the 50s. High school girls get pregnant all the time. Happens. It's extremely common. The average birth in the black community is like, what'd they say, 14? And there are just tons of high school age girls get pregnant every year. So this idea that they couldn't do something willingly is nonsense. They absolutely could. And Virginia Roberts, I don't care what you think about her, she was a hoe. She was a willing hoe. She was a hoe that liked being a hoe. Every picture you see of her, she is grinning from ear to ear. She begged her mother to let her become emancipated so she could travel with Epstein. She would run to the mall and go get her friends and say, hey, man, I got this old dude, man. I'll pay you big bucks to massage him in your underwear. You want to come? Let's go. Sometimes she would go to his house twice a day and bring one of her friends with her. He was not a fucking victim of anything. Not a victim of anything. Did he do things with her that were illegal? He sure as hell did. Was she a victim? Fuck no. No, she was a willing participant. She was also guilty of exactly what Maxwell was guilty of. It could be argued in a court that Virginia Dupree solicited girls to come and be a part of it. She admits it in her book that she did. She brought several of her friends there. None were ever forced. None ever reported being forced. That's all I'm saying. So, the importance of all the crap they found in his desk drawer when they raided his house in comparison to the Democrats being back in power is nothing. I don't care. I could not care less. I just don't care. The man's gone. The girls that willingly did it are now in their 40s. They've all written books and made money off of it. What are you hoping to accomplish here, really? In some instances, the only time that there was actually a crime committed, I don't think Virginia Dupree ever went to Epstein Island before she was 16. I'm fairly certain that's what the evidence showed. If that's the case, there was never a crime committed as far as her, because the legal age of consent there is 16. Just saying. Just saying. It's raunchy, it's shitty, it's dirty, it's yucky, it's all that, but it wasn't illegal. And not there, it wasn't, not for a 16-year-old. So, and I believe she was 16 before she ever went to the island. Now, she was willingly going to his house in Florida with her friends and bragging about the money she was making and all that before she was 16. Absolutely. And that was criminal. Absolutely. And he was convicted of it once. But it's just not that important to me. Now, that being said, I have sense enough to know that the prior administration, who had all the stuff from the warrant raids of his property, they had it, right? The Biden administration had all of the Epstein docs, period, right? And we never heard a whisper from the media about it being released when the Democrats had it. And you can bet your ass, if there was any evidence that Trump did something, they would have released it. You wouldn't have had to beg them to release it. They would have raced to release it. So you can rest assured there's nothing in there about Trump, because if there was, you would have heard about it in 2016 when he ran for president the first time. And you'd have heard about it again in 2020, and you'd have heard about it again in 2024. You guys seem to forget the other administration had that shit. For 4 years, they sat on it. And I got sense enough to know that they gave Pam Bondi what they wanted her to have. It isn't that Pam Bondi lied. It's that Pam Bondi gave you what they gave her. Shit we already knew. They did it to humiliate her. They set her up. They're dirty dogs. I believe every word she said, that there was a bunch of CP material. Now, understand, this wasn't material he made of underage with clients or himself. This was like videos with girls of a questionable age engaged in adult activity. I believe there was just a couple of videos of him just him with Dupree. Other than that, if you go by when they first arrested him and the FBI did those raids and they had all the evidence listed of everything they found in his house, there was no mention of anything other than that then. So unless some developed out of thin air, that's what they had. And they set Pam Bondi up to make a fool out of her. I mean, I got sense enough to know that. But it's not that important to me. It really isn't. I know Trump's not in there because if he was, we'd have already known about it. He's not that kind of person either. He just isn't. And he likes very beautiful, fully developed, beautiful women. And he would have had his pick of very beautiful women. So there's that. But anyway, glad to see y'all tune in. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll try to get to a couple more comments here. What did I see here? Says, yeah. Yep. I mean, I guess. Okay. But you know, he's just full of shit and really stupid, right? I mean, you know that, right? That he does the exact same thing that Candace does. Candace doesn't do any research. She doesn't spend any time looking for anything. She says, uh-oh, it's an hour before my show. Better get some content. And so she'll run over to the computer and she'll jump on YouTube and Twitter and she'll search Charlie Kirk and she'll look for someone spouting a new conspiracy and then she'll repeat that conspiracy on her podcast. That's it. She doesn't look into anything. If she looked into things, she would know there were steps on the Losi building and you wouldn't have to climb it like Spider-Man. If she did a little research, she would find out that, you know, no one ever said he acted alone. No law enforcement agency, none of them ever said that. She said that. Nobody else had. If she was serious, she would investigate real suspects like Antifa and trans radicals and far left extremists that threaten to kill them all the time. She would be deep diving on the people that were there that were doing goofy shit, like the guy that asked the question, the guy that jumped up, turned around, and cheered, you know, the guy that said, I did it. You know, she don't even care about those people. She acts like they don't exist. You can't take her serious. But I want you to know, you know, Heavy Duty Country, he did a whole fucking segment yakking about that gun. And that was a stock photo from Google search. It was not Tyler Robinson's Vietnam era rifle that his grandfather gave him for his birthday. Just saying. He ain't real smart. He doesn't do any research either. He just repeats other conspiracies he's seen. And he does them knee jerk. They don't vet nothing. They don't check nothing out. They don't say, oh, that's kind of stupid. Oh, man, I'm glad I didn't go live talking about that gun. Shh, that wasn't his gun. They don't do anything. They just shoot off in the mouth. All heavy duty country does is say stuff you would agree with. You know, the Democrats are bad. Yeah, we know. We know they are heavy duty. Yeah, they sure are. Tune in next week. Thank you for tuning in. Bye. I mean, that's the depth of what he does. Just tells you what you already know, what you want to hear. He doesn't ever break anything new or have any like prolific ideas or yeah, there's a big difference there, new buck. See, asking questions doesn't include, he sure looks suspicious to me. He ran to a grassy knoll, made a phone call after they scaled the building like Spider-Man. Yeah, that Mike McCoy, he's sure awful suspicious. That's not asking questions. That's accusing people and creating a false narrative. Yeah, it'd be pretty hard to pull the wool over my eyes, I'll tell you that. I've always had good intuition, gut feeling about things. And listen, there's nothing wrong with being suspicious of somebody. What's wrong is when you turn to an audience of millions and level accusations based on your own unsubstantiated wild assumptions. And there is a difference. You should not do that. She could get one of these people hurt. You understand that, right? There are crazy ass fucking people out there. There could be some nut job want to avenge Charlie any day and go hurt one of the people that Candace has accused. Wouldn't that be a tragedy? It's just wrong, man. How would you like for some celebrity to tell millions of people you're complicit to murder? It's just fucking shit's just wrong, man. And a grieving widow with small children, and you're going to sit there and insinuate she killed her own husband. I mean, that's just piece of shit behavior. That's unforgivable stuff. She's not back with anybody. Oh my God, dude. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't give a goddamn if she's going to a gangbang tomorrow. Tyler Robinson's the one that climbed up on that roof and pulled a trigger into Charlie Kirk. Not his wife with 2 little kids. Use your fucking head, man. That was her money machine. How stupid would that be? Back with her boyfriend. I guarantee you she ain't, dude. That's just absolute, utter, pure, unbridled, made up, fabricated fucking internet horse manure. You don't know one personal thing about her, and neither does anybody else. You have no idea what's in her heart. You have no idea who she talks to. You have no fucking idea where she goes. And you sure as hell don't have any idea if she's dating somebody or not. That is just pure speculative, just vomit. You know, you guys understand what you're seeing happen to Ryan Upchurch is karma, right? You guys understand that karma came to set things right after Ryan Upchurch accused a grieving family of lying about their own child being killed. Karma's a real fucking thing. I hate to see what's going to happen to some of you. You know, the next time you things are all fucked up and you're going, oh, gee, why me? This is why. This is why you dragged a grieving widow with 2 small children without a fucking speck of evidence. And that's the kind of things that will summons karma. That shit right there. So have at her. Good luck. Yeah, you can't tell these people this. You know, Clorox Bonnet says Ryan's already lost. Yeah, he sure has. When you got lawyers saying, no, you need to settle out, man. Now you can't win that case. It's time to settle out. Don't spend another dime on no more lawyers because there's nothing they can do for you. You're guilty and they cannot make you innocent. Why do you guys even care about that guy? I mean, there is nothing. I got to just tell you, there is not a single thing about him that would interest me in the slightest bit. Not a thing. You guys are fixated on some unemployed 30-something fucking loser. Well, maybe not unemployed now, but just some 30-something fucking loser that don't even have a car. Why? Why are you even interested in a word he's got to say? He lies like a fucking rug. That's the thing I don't understand about this stupid ass AD. Why people still listen to that fucking idiot contradict himself 5 times in the same 30 minutes. Time and time and time again. Always talking about being a hard ass, yet he's afraid to go outside. Doesn't that grow old after a while? Don't you get tired of it? I mean, I've never heard him say anything that would be of interest to me to sit and listen to him. Just run off diarrhea at the mouth, talking about absolutely fucking nothing. Nothing of substance, nothing. Yes, gummy karma. Yeah, I did, man. That's pretty awesome. Them dudes, man, spraying manure and shit. That's just pure gold. I love it. That is really cool. What are you talking about? They just now did it. Where the hell are you getting this whacked out information from? I've been hearing about lower prescription prices since Trump's first term. No, you haven't. There's been no effort of any kind made to lower prescription costs till just recently. How did we do it with tariffs? You know how easy it was? Trump said, you mark prescriptions up beyond what is reasonable, and I will put a 200% tariff on everything you import in our country. And they said, oh, okay, well, we won't do it no more. And prescription prices absolutely have come down big time in the last 4 months. Big time. Some of them have reduced 600%. That's fact. But you need to go check your facts, dude. He did it by using tariffs. If you mark prescription drugs up 600%, I'm going to put 600% tariff on anything you import. And he meant it. He fucking meant it, and they knew he meant it. That's never been done before. Yeah, I should probably be on here more. I'm not kidding you, man. That crap with Charlie Kirk, and just to see all these people be gullible and stupid, believing these ridiculously absurd conspiracies when it's so blatantly obvious who did it. If you just look at the evidence, you can't even come to any other conclusion. People believe in stupid stuff like there's always going to be an exit wound and it would blow your head off if you were shot with that rifle. And I know because I got me. And then some dude goes out with an armor piercing round and shoots a watermelon, and that somehow proves it. This is fucking nonsense. My dad had fucking lead in his body his whole life. There's so many Vietnam vets that came home. And I don't know if you know, go look at a 308 and a 30-06 and tell me what really the difference is, really. Because there ain't much other than the fucking name. It's probably the difference between, a 3/8 and a 12 millimeter. Yes, I do. Oh, that's right. I wanted to say, yeah. I started to talk about that and I forgot. Okay. Yeah. I had a actual drug addict, a person that has been addicted for quite some time, has battled addiction on and off for quite a few years, and has recently, in the last 2 years, on and off, been addicted to this combination of meth and fentanyl that's so popular these days. And he said that shit is so expensive now, nobody can afford it because it's not plentiful like it was. It used to be plentiful, but we've stopped by sealing the border and blowing these boats out of the water. Just the supply ain't what it used to be. And just like anything else, the less something is available, the higher the price if the demand is high. If there's only 10 new Xboxes, you can sell them for 10 grand, right? If there's 20 million of them, you can't hardly get nothing out of them. Well, that's why that fentanyl and meth was so cheap, and so many people were getting addicted to it because it was so cheap. It had become the drug of choice because it was dirt cheap. You could get a hit of that stuff for just nearly like for $10. You could get enough for a day or maybe more. Now, what would it cost you $10 cost you $100. And so you're going to see a lot of people get clean that would have never got clean before because it was so easily obtainable. Now, in addition to the price being driven up due to the not being as plentiful as it was, comes the availability as well. It's finding someone that has it. If you're some low-level addict on the street with little connection, you're going to be the last guy in line, and by the time you make it, it'll all be gone. The demand is high and the supply is extremely low right now, thanks to the fucking rock star we have in the White House. Yeah. Her credibility's gone. Candace Owens' credibility's destroyed. No one's ever going to take her serious again. I mean, nobody will ever take her serious again. She cannot be believed. She has told so many lies and been so manipulative over this that her credibility has taken a massive hit. Just watching her ignore the physical evidence, ignore all the Antifa death threats and all the trans radical death threats, ignoring all the violence that those people have been engaged in and the amount of times they've tried to attack Charlie Kirk and other people that speak at universities, them celebrating his assassination, and Candace Owens completely ignoring that, as if that does not exist, while claiming that she's just asking the questions and looking for the truth, has destroyed her credibility, because people got sense enough to know that she's only been accusing Trump supporters and people in the MAGA movement. She hasn't accused any leftists at all. And they're the fucking ones that are always involved in this kind of violence. Just saying. Read a few more questions. I got to get off here. I got shit to do. Yeah, there you go. They already came out and said they were destroying Epstein files. They did. I know. Media ignores that, though. And you got all these people fixated on, Epstein files, because it's just background noise and a smoke screen to take your eye off the ball of all Trump's good accomplishments. He can't help that the prior administration are assholes. He can't help that the FBI is fucking corrupt to its core, and you got rogue agents. Donald Trump can't fix that on his own. It's not his fault they're playing fuck games around with that shit. He told them to release it 3 times now. So all he can do is go to their house and grab them by the arm. And I don't know what else you think he can do. Oh, I got my CUDA's getting painted right now. Just getting a paint job done to it. And again, it's nothing. It's not no fucking, it's an X-race car, man. The thing was pretty beat when I got it. I mean, the body wasn't all that bad, really, but the car was, gutted. All the inside was taken out, and the glass had been taken out of it, and it had Lexan in it. And, the fucking body had been spray painted flat black. Where they had slicks on the back, the rear quarter panels were beat in a little bit, and all the chrome was missing. What chrome was there had been painted flat black and shit, and was kind of banged up. So I got some replacement shit. It's the parts for the 68s ain't as bad as some of the other ones are. I mean, there are a few more parts available for those, like used stuff, but the new stuff, pretty pricey. And, but I bought a fuel injected 5.7 out of a truck and put in there. We did get it running. Got a lot of bugs to work out of it yet. It had one of those fucking ridiculously overdone roll cages in it, that I know you've seen them, where there's like a fucking whole hoop that goes around the driver's head. We had to cut all that out of there. But the problem, then there was an issue, because when they did that, when they were lightening that car up, there's a big long rail that goes on the inside where the rods for the headliner hooked into. So the headliner has hoops in it, rod hoops. And there was like a metal track that went down both sides that those rods hooked into, and that was gone. And everywhere I tried to buy, like cut one out of another car, they wanted an arm and a leg for it. I put that off for the longest time. I finally did get one and weld it in there. And yeah, it's getting painted right now. Thanks for asking. It'll be pretty cool to drive around and shit. You know, it ain't gonna be no fucking $30,000 fucking Barrett Jackson car. You know, it's just a fucking hot rod. I told you I got my brother's dirt bike, KTM, which is pretty cool. I might do some videos with it if I get in the mood. So I got to get off here, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in again. Man, if you're sold on this Candace Owens shit, you need to go listen to some alternative voices. Catch you on the next one. Man, I wish you guys would all tell Ryan to go get help instead of encourage. More of the same. Catch you later.
Psychobabble.